You know, a narcissist doesn't break when you walk away. They break when you no longer react. No more anger, no more pain, no more hoping for an apology or yearning to be understood, just silence. And that silence, not as avoidance, but as a declaration that you have resurrected, is what shatters their power, like sand slipping through their fingers. In this video, we won't talk about revenge. We're not here to figure out how to hurt the one who once hurt you. Instead, we're going to uncover something far deeper, why letting go in silence might just be the most powerful thing you've ever done. This isn't just a journey away from a toxic relationship. It's a return to yourself. If you've ever felt trapped in an emotional loop with someone who never truly saw you, this video is for you. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more healing and awakening content, and make sure to watch until the end, because I believe every word in this video could be the first step toward the freedom you truly deserve. There's a truth not everyone is ready to face. The narcissist never loved you the way you once believed. They don't love with empathy. They don't connect through sincerity. They connect through your emotional reactions. Every time you were hurt, every time you cried, got angry, or tried to hold on. To them, that was proof they still had control. They don't need love. They just need to know you haven't broken free. They're just still trapped in the emotional maze they so carefully constructed. So when you begin to change, not with words, but with silence, a silence that carries no resentment, no longing, just stillness, that is the signal that begins to crack their distorted inner world. You no longer ask why they changed. You no longer seek to understand. You no longer try to heal them with your compassion. And to the narcissist, that is unbearable, because their entire identity isn't built on something internal. It's defined by how others reflect them back. A narcissist is like an empty mirror that needs others to see themselves. Every word you said, every feeling you showed was light they used to feel real. But when that light goes out, when you no longer reflect any value back to them, they're left alone in the very darkness they created. No more eyes watching them. No more your insecurity to make them feel powerful. No more your forgiveness to allow their manipulation to continue. Only silence remains. And make no mistake, that silence is not avoidance, and it's not a strategy. It's the result of a long, excruciating inner journey. It's when you've sat face to face with your pain, no longer blaming, no longer searching for validation. It's when you've realized you no longer want to win a game that was never meant to end. You just want peace. And when that happens, you don't just reclaim the power over your life, you unintentionally begin to unravel the narcissist's entire false psychological structure from within. When your silence is no longer a strategy, but true freedom. You once lived in a constant state of hypervigilance, where every word you spoke, every subtle expression on your face could be twisted and used as evidence against you in a psychological war you never agreed to fight. A narcissist doesn't love you as a person. They love the role you played in the script they wrote. And in their eyes, you only had value as long as you reacted, as long as you kept trying, hoping, hurting, and getting angry. They remained the center of your emotional universe. But then one day, you stop crying. You stop arguing, stop needing to prove you're right, stop trying to hold on to someone who was never really there. You're not cold. You're simply quiet. And that very quietness shatters the psychological ecosystem that depends on drama to survive. To them, your silence is the greatest loss, because you're withdrawn from the universe where they were the sun. When you begin to step out of the spiral, you don't do it with rage. You don't even need to scream, "I've woken up." You simply stop giving your energy. You stop analyzing, stop interpreting their behavior. Stop waiting for remorse that deep down you know will never come. A narcissist doesn't fall apart because you hate them. They fall apart because you feel nothing. No more love, no more hate, no more obsession, just a calm detachment that drives them insane. Because for the first time, they can no longer use your emotions as fuel for their hollow ego. And that's when the collapse begins. Not with thunder, not with arguments or tears, but with a strange silence that spreads like a small crack across a fake castle. A crack no one hears, yet inside, the bricks begin to fall, one by one. Because now, you're no longer trying to be the one who understands them, heals them, or accepts the unacceptable. You no longer convince yourself that they're just wounded. You no longer blame yourself when they lash out or go silent. You begin to see the line between compassion and self-betrayal. And you choose yourself, not by slamming the door shut, but by never opening it again. When you step out of the role, their stage collapses. The narcissist was never a solid whole individual. They are the product of deep internal deprivation, an empty self, cloaked in performance. When someone looks at them with admiration, they become the seducer. When criticized, they morph into the victim. When praised, they transform into the perfect one. But their true identity never really formed because they've never had the courage to face themselves. You were the mirror they needed. You were the living proof that they mattered. Not because they were genuinely remarkable, but because they could make you cry, make you retreat, make you sacrifice and forgive without limits. And every time you reacted, they felt powerful. It was until the day you stopped. You stopped reacting, no pain, no texts, no cryptic social media posts, no attempts to make them realize they were wrong. And that complete absence, that quiet invisibility, is what throws them into an identity crisis. Because without someone to reflect them, the image they painted begins to fade. It's like an actor standing on a stage with no audience. Every line, every expression, every dramatic performance suddenly meaningless. That's when they begin to unravel. In silence, they try everything that once worked. Sweet words, fake remorse, or the opposite, silent treatment, anger, blame. But this time, nothing gets through. You are no longer reacting to the script. You've walked off the stage. And when you do that, the entire stage collapses. They don't know who to be without you as their backdrop. They don't know how to exist in invisibility. And the most painful realization hits. You no longer need them to feel whole. The cracks begin to show. They can no longer control the inner chaos. Narcissists cannot survive in silence. To them, silence is not peace. It's a black hole that devours every illusion of grandeur they've desperately tried to preserve. When you stop responding, when you no longer react with tears or doubt, you strip them of their most powerful weapon, the ability to manipulate others' emotions, to prop up their crumbling ego. And so begins the distortion of reality. They'll tell everyone you were toxic, that you changed, that you abandoned them when they were at their weakest. Because if they accept the truth that it was their deception, manipulation, and inner emptiness that drove the relationship to collapse, they would completely disintegrate. Narcissists don't know how to live with fault. They are not equipped to confront their own shadows. They have no tools for healing because they've never learned to self-reflect. So instead, they resist truth by creating a new version of the story. One where they're still the victim or the untouchable hero. But no matter how many times they rewrite the script, one thing remains unchanged. You're no longer in the cast. You withdraw, quiet, unapologetic, without demands for justice or explanation, is what causes their entire world to lose gravity. They may flaunt someone new, post pictures, paint the picture of overflowing happiness, but behind those eyes is something they cannot disguise: emptiness. They don't know who they are without someone to manipulate. They don't know how to feel real without someone to reflect the image back. And the most brutal truth is now knocking at their door. They never had a true identity. Just a collection of roles designed to harvest power from the emotions of others. When you cut every cord, they fall into a void with no anchor. No more arguments to feel important. No more pleas for forgiveness to feel wanted. No more witnesses to their performance. And that, to a narcissist, is the truest form of hell. You no longer have to prove anything because true freedom needs no witness. In the end, you didn't go back. Not out of anger, not because you needed an apology. You didn't stay silent to manipulate. You stayed silent because finally you understood you were no longer bound to a game you never asked to play. And when you chose to walk away, without bitterness, without demands, without hoping they'd finally get it, you didn't just leave the relationship, you stepped out of the entire system of control that once imprisoned your soul. They may continue performing, they may try to replace you, they may attempt to provoke a reaction from a distance, but none of it holds power anymore, because the one thing they never anticipated is that you've emotionally outgrown them. You no longer need to prove anything. You don't need anyone to see that you were right. You don't need to explain how deeply you were hurt. All you need is your own inner peace. And now you're living in it. Meanwhile, the narcissist enters their final stage, crumbling in silence. No one hears the collapse, no public breakdown. They still smile, still post pictures, still pretend everything is fine. But behind their eyes lies a wasteland, a place with no reflection, no one left to touch the remnants of their fading humanity. And then they'll have to live with the truth. They lost the one person who truly saw them and didn't run. The one who loved them not for illusions, but for something deeper, and they destroyed it with their own hands. As for you, you didn't win through revenge. You won by no longer needing to win. You sleep deeper, breathe lighter, laugh more, honestly, not because someone finally admitted they were wrong, but because you walked out of the darkness on your own 2 feet. You began living a life that no longer revolved around pleasing anyone, a life no longer ruled by the fear of abandonment or the urge to save someone from themselves. You don't need anyone to regret losing you. You don't need apologies. You don't need someone to tell you you're worth it, because you, by choosing to let go, declare that truth more clearly than any words ever could. True freedom doesn't come with fireworks or grand applause. It arrives like a cool breeze, gentle, unassuming, but calming everything it touches. And in that quiet moment when you whisper to yourself, "I made it," that is when you are truly reborn. No longer a reflection of a broken relationship, but fully yourself, whole, free, and needing no one to validate it. You're no longer the person you once were, the one who reacted in panic, who cried to keep a toxic relationship alive, who tried to make sense of the senseless just to hold on to a fragile thread of hope. Today, you are someone who has stepped out of the game, someone who doesn't need revenge, doesn't need to be understood, doesn't need to be proven right, because you now possess what the narcissist can neither own, nor break, nor replicate: inner freedom. Don't let anyone make you believe that your silence is weakness. Don't let anyone label your kindness as foolishness. Don't let those who don't know how to love teach you how to value yourself, because you have lived, you have loved, you have endured, and above all, you have awakened. Emotional detachment is not coldness. It's the sign of a soul that has matured, one that understands no one has the right to define your worth except you. The narcissist doesn't break because you hate them. They break because you no longer allow them to control your heart. And to them, that loss is beyond words. Remember, you don't need that collapse to validate your healing. You don't need an apology to be whole again. All you need is to keep moving forward, steadier each day, every step a declaration. I no longer belong to the place that once hurt me. And if you're still in the middle of that journey, still hurting, still uncertain, let this video be a gentle reminder. You are not alone. Many have stood where you are, and they have made it through. So will you. No need to rush. No need to be perfect. Just be honest with yourself. If what I've shared today resonates with you, please subscribe to the channel, because there is so much more healing, depth, and clarity waiting for you here. Let your recovery be not just the end of pain, but the beginning of a new life. A life no longer ruled by the past, but guided by the light within you. And never forget, you are worthy of peace, of true love, and of a life where you never again have to trade your soul just to make someone stay.